So we're going to be taking a look at AfterShoot tonight, and it's a very cool product that handles culling for you. Culling is the somewhat boring process of picking your good pictures out of your bad ones. And you're going to see that through the power of AI, you can really speed up this process. It doesn't replace the need for human intervention, but it really speeds up the process of finding the good photos in the midst of the bad photos. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this. So we're really glad that you guys can join us live tonight. And we also know that some of you are watching the replay. So thanks for that as well. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get things started. Let's go ahead here and share. And thank you guys for coming again. Welcome. And my name is Rich Harrington. I'm with Photo Focus. We are a publisher of educational content related to photography. We've been publishing now for 23 years. Forgive me as I sneeze. Thank you. So we've been making educational content to help and inspire photographers for many years. And our goal is to empower people to make better looking pictures through both software and their shooting style. And we share a lot of resources on a daily basis. My name is Rich Harrington, and I'm a visual storyteller. I've been using both photo and video for my entire life. I studied journalism in school and have worked in both print, broadcast, and web. And I also have a lot of experience working with AI. So I've done a lot with software and AI tools to help people get more done. And the cool thing is that AI is really just designed to be a time saver. So when you use AI effectively, you'll be surprised at how much time you can save and what that looks like. So I think you guys are going to enjoy tonight, and you'll find that there's quite a bit that can be done using AI to really speed things up. So as I shared with you, I am the publisher of Photo Focus. This is a website that helps photographers and has been around for quite some time. I also have written about 40 books on everything from Aperture to Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere Pro, After Effects. So if it involves working with still or moving images, there's a good chance I've written about it. And I've put out a lot of video courses through the years to try to help people get more from their software. So before we jump right into the software, let me just get a couple of simple things out of the way. And I'll just skip past those. Good. So we're going to take a look here at what AfterShoot can do. And we'll start first off with why AfterShoot. So I heard about AfterShoot about a year ago, and I was really curious about how in the world a computer could help me do my job faster. Now, I believe in AI, and a lot of you have been using different types of AI through the years. Your camera has an autofocus. It calculates the right exposure. Maybe you use cruise control. All of these are, rudimentary examples of the computer doing things to try to make the right decisions. So when you autofocus your camera detects certain things, tries to lock onto that object and focus. Well, AI keeps getting better and better as computers get better and better. And AfterShoot is designed to really let you spend more time on the creative process and less time on the boring parts. And the boring parts are sorting out the bad pictures. You still are going to need to pick the good pictures, but AfterShoot can remove the bad pictures and really thin down the amount of work that you have. So culling is that process of getting rid of the bad pictures. And it's really not that creative. You're constantly zooming in, you're checking focus, you're trying to figure out what's going on. And AfterShoot is just designed to really save some time. Okay. So I think you guys are going to enjoy this. And one thing that people are concerned about is that AfterShoot will sometimes, they're afraid that their good images are going to get left out, but AfterShoot doesn't do it. So what it will do is it will always show you the best image from each collection. So if you only have one of an image, you didn't shoot a burst or you didn't shoot different poses or options, it's going to skip it. And this way, it's going to always pick out at least one of those from that group. So AfterShoot doesn't throw away any pictures. It just looks at each type of picture in your collection and brings the best one forward. You'll also see, though, that it can find problems even within those pictures. So it can let you know if it's out of focus or other things. Now, AfterShoot is going to work with Mac and Windows, and it has direct handoff to Lightroom, Lightroom Classic, and Capture One, but it also just writes industry standard XMP metadata, and it can organize things into folders. So it can hand off your pictures to any tool that you want to hand off, and it works with pretty much all the RAW and JPEG formats out there. So let me bring AfterShoot up, and I'm going to show you what it can do. And again, please use the Q&A feature, ask any questions that you have, and we'll gladly walk you through what this can do. So here we go. So we're in AfterShoot, and when you log in, it's pretty straightforward. One of the things you're going to want to do is just go to the home section, and it's going to let you bring in a shoot when you're ready to process it. So all you have to do is say, make a new album and add a folder. Now you could choose any types of things. I'm going to choose a couple of different pictures here. Let me bring in this nature shoot, and it quickly imports and starts to load it up. And then we could tell it to start culling. So culling, again, is the process of removing the bad pictures. So what we can do is set our preferences. So I'm shooting birds here, and they're moving. So it's going to be tough to always nail focus, but I can decide the level of focus. So does it have to be tack sharp, or will I accept something that's mostly in focus with a little bit of motion blur, or is really shallow focus okay? I'm going to go with moderate here because I was shooting birds. I'm going to tell it to not worry about, how it groups things and what's it going to do. So it can create a lot of sets, or it can try to combine those together. And what it basically does is looks at pictures that are shot within 30 seconds of each other and tries to group them. The selections are the number of pictures it picks. So you could say, pick the best 30% or only pick the best 10%. And it's going to go through and start to narrow those down. So you can see here 30, 20, or 10. And it also can pick a subset of those as the ones that it thinks are really good for sharing to social media. Now, under the advanced section here, you have even more control. And this lets you decide a few things. Do you want to look for closed eyes? Well, I'm dealing with birds here, so no. Do you want to look for blur? Yes. Do you want to find duplicates? Yes. You can also set it how it's going to do things. So I could say that my selects and sneak peeks are going to be 5 stars. And I want my duplicates to be 3 stars and my blurred photos to be 2. And I'm not using any closed eyes, so I'll just turn that off. You also can tell it if you want it to overwrite existing stars or labels. So you can actually scan photos after you brought them into Lightroom. You just might not want it to overwrite things. Now I'll click next. It's ready to go, and I'll start the culling. What it's going to do now is scan the job and begin to process. Now, I'm going to set up another job. And one of the cool things is that you can actually queue multiple jobs up while it's running. So you can load up multiple jobs in here. So let's add another folder. And I'm going to take a photo session I did for my family. And I'm going to load this in and let it scan. There it is. They quickly load. And I'll put the criteria in here of what I want it to do. And I'll say, go ahead and be a little bit moderate here because we had large group photos. So not everyone's going to be tack sharp. There's dots of depth. Go ahead, though, and start to create duplicate images, start to put them together. So I think moderate will be fine. Go ahead and pick just the best 20%. And that looks pretty good. And I do want to look for closed eyes and blur. Start culling. So now it's going to start rolling. All right, let's let that go. And we'll take a look at a job that's done while these are running. So here I had 1,017 images. AfterShoot was able to mark that 700 of those are probably not that usable. Not that they're not usable, but they're not the best. So let's look at what it did. So when you first launch, it's going to walk you through, and it has these cool built-in tutorials so that you can understand what happens. Okay, I double click, it opens into the loop. Cool. And I can use all the standard keyboard shortcuts you're used to for color, stars, and labels. These are the same shortcuts that you're used to in Lightroom and Capture One and most other tools. So if you want to manually rate something, you still can. We can use the A key to mark an image as selected and the X key to reject an image. I can quickly see the things by clicking on the category. I can filter by all sorts of criteria: ratings, stars, cameras, shoot time. And then when we're done, we export. And export can make new folders or hand it off to one of our other editing tools that we work with. So really straightforward. And let's go through. So here we go. Got it. What it was able to do was start to sort the images. So I could say, you know what? Let's see those pictures that it marked as blurred. Well, it found these 4 pictures that it felt were blurred, and I agree. These are not going to be useful to me. I can get rid of these. These are some test shots. There weren't any that were detected in this example with closed eyes, so that's fine. If we take a look at the selected ones here, I start to see things rise up. So here you see that this was flagged pretty good. You know, we got some 4 stars, we got some 5 stars in here. But what's going to happen is if there was a one-off of a picture, it might still select it and say, you know, this one may not be as good, but it's the best of it. But let's take this one here. Here, we've got a 5-star image, but it says there's 5 more choices available. So I can look at those and quickly see them and just review, or double click to open. And what's cool about this is you can instantly see all your duplicates. So with the up and down arrows, you can switch through the different options. S is going to make that one the selected image. A will also pick it, and X will delete it. Not permanently, but skip it. Okay, so it's pretty cool. So watch how this works. Here's the one that it felt was the best image. But if I use the up and down arrows, I can quickly review. Well, there, her eyes are closed, not as good. These are okay. You know, and as I'm taking a look here, I can really move between. So up and down arrow moves me through the set. And if I find one that I like, I can also add that by pressing the A key to add it to the selection. Now let's go back, take a look at another set of images here. We'll go to one where there's a whole bunch on these locker series. So here we had 4 images besides this one to choose from. You know, we clearly shot it. We were going for different facial expressions. This is the one it felt was best. Here, the smile looks a little forced, unnatural. Here, he's just kind of staring into the camera. Not as good, not as good. So I agree with that selection. But if I want one that has the other emotion, I say, you know, I do want to keep this one. A. Now it's a select as well. Let's go to the next image. Right arrow. Okay. No duplicates for this one. There we go. And I can audition between these very quickly and see the different compositions and which one is going to be the best facial expression. So you can navigate very quickly through the images, check for sharpness, check for blinks, and find the best photos. So what this is designed to do is to make it simple for you to find your best pictures. What's also really cool when there's a portrait shot like this, for example, is we can actually navigate here and very quickly identify the best pictures. Now, I hope that this is making sense. Again, feel free to ask questions about what we're showing you, but this is designed to quickly sort things out and get to the best photos. So here are all the selects, what are both the sneak peeks and the most useful ones. And in some cases, you would say, you know, this isn't a great picture, it's a bit overexposed, but it was the best of that option. So it kept it, so you can decide, you know, I don't want that one. Let's mark it as a reject. So now it gets removed from the selection. I don't need this one. Again, it's not a replacement for the manual culling, but it removed 700 of the 1,000 from the shoot, and I can quickly review these. If I see a photo I think I'd like, I can just double click to go into it, review it quickly, and audition the other candidates. Nope, bad expression. That's good for the pensive look. I don't like that one as much. I'm going to keep that one. Let's go to the next one and see how you can quickly move through an audition. Now, if you want to add something, I think that smile's a little forced, but you can go through and find the best looks as you're auditioning. Now let's take a look at that eagle shoot, and you're going to see a different type of situation where it's able to cull things down. So here, and when I came back from this trip to Alaska, this is a small subset. I had about 4,000 images, but here it pulled it down to the best 55 out of 400. So it's looking for the ones that were sharp. Well, these 200 are blurry. Hey, if you've ever tried to shoot eagles that can fly 35 miles an hour, you would understand why there might be some blurry pictures. So just being able to narrow out the blurry ones was tremendously useful. It allowed me to get that out of the way. If I take a look at the selected ones here, I'm able to see the ones that are sharp with good exposure and better composition. So here, as we go through, for example, you can see it did identify a really good pose with this one that's sharp. And if I liked the other one here, if I want to add one more, I'll just press A to add. Right arrow for the next one. I'm not crazy about this one. It's sharp, but I don't like it, the photo. Let's just keep going through. And notice how I can quickly organize. Oh, look at that. It nailed it. This one's sharp with a perfect strike. Now, when you're shooting eagles, you shoot loose. I'm shooting on a high-res camera, so I've got plenty of room to crop afterwards. But unless you are Scott Bourne or have been shooting birds for your entire life, the safer thing to do is to shoot a little bit loose and crop afterwards, especially for these raptor-type birds. Now, as I look at these, well, not a good photo, and not a good photo. So it correctly identified the best photo and the sharpest one. So I like that. Let's go to the next one here. That's not bad. That's okay. I'm not crazy about any of those. While it's sharp, and that's the best one of the group, I'm not crazy about it. Okay, looks good. That's okay. That's good. Not as good. I like this one. The subject is looking a little bit more towards the camera. So as you see here, it's super simple to go through and find the best composed pictures, the best color, the best sharpness. And as I went through here, it was finding all of these solid shots and the ones that were sharpest amongst the group. Again, these need to be cropped, but I've got something there that's quite useful to me. And you can start to go through and quickly look at these and say, okay, I want to only see the 4 stars and above, or I want to filter on one of those criteria. So hopefully what you're discovering here is the time-saving nature of being able to pull out the blurry photos right away, knowing that you can get rid of those. So what it was able to do was say, hey, these 200 are blurry. Why waste your time looking at them? You could probably skip those. Hey, these here, this 130, we think this 130 pictures, there's others that are similar that are better. So I can say, okay, well, this one's here. Well, what's better? Oh yeah, there's that strike. There's another strike. That one is better. Okay, cool. Well, let's see. This one here, it found several that are similar. Let's see, open it up. Not bad. Yeah, I like that one there. You know, we see the subject a little bit more. Nice crop there. We got a good fly. So the benefit here of sorting in this way is that you're able to narrow down the number of alternatives you need to look at. All right, let's do one more shoot. There's that family portrait shoot. I was able to thin out 120 of the images here. So narrow it down definitely. So it was able to find things here and get rid of it. Now, in this case, I'm going to restart the culling for a moment. Yes, continue. And I want to make sure we're checking closed eye detection. Yep. Okay, good. All right, then it looks like we're solid. So it was able to look through these and find the best pictures of the group. So I was able to flag those and narrow it down. So as we start to look here at our different choices, I can see which ones are best. But if I want to be even more aggressive, I can just restart the culling. And so I can say, you know what? Let's look at that again. Let's be a little bit stricter on blurred, and let's really group the images together, not even within 30 seconds, just be more aggressive. And, that's fine. Let's narrow it down to the best 10%, and I'll restart the culling. Let's just check here under advanced. Yep, we're looking for closed eyes. I'll go ahead here, and we're also going to look for blurred. Great, go. We can rerun that job, and it's only going to take a few seconds because they've already been analyzed. And this is going to allow me to narrow this down a bit more and find the best photos. There we go. So now it was more aggressive in the cull. And so we can see the best candidates for each picture, and as we go through, not good. That one was soft, right? So this one here, great facial expressions. It's not a traditional pose, but it captures the emotion. Let's go to the next image. Good. And within each group, it's finding good emotion, good poses. Look at how I'm able to fly through. Now, we did a few silly pictures on purpose. These are my relatives, so we were screwing around. But, we have the whole gamut here of the different poses and the smiles, that we have the very traditional ones. And again, within each group, we're able to find the best option within that candidate. So the one where there's the best overall facial expressions, the most eyes open, the best looks. See? So it's a great way to narrow down your photo shoot and quickly get to the best of pictures. So you can see we were having fun this day, just doing some silly shots as well. Not everything was straight posed. But within this, being able to find the best facial expressions. But again, if you're screwing around or having fun with it, it will pick the best one per group. And then within that, narrow it down where we had the best overall facial expressions within that group and the best composition. All right. I'd like to open it up for questions if you guys have it, and we can do another example. But please go ahead if you'd like to open up your mics, just raise your hand and we'll call on you. And we'll be happy to take any questions you have, or put any questions that you have in the Q&A. I'd also like to know a little bit, if you guys can tell me if you've tried AfterShoot before, or if you've used Lightroom and where you do the bulk of your editing afterwards. So just let us know a little bit about the way that you like to edit. So please go ahead and just take that quick survey. And I'll load up one more shoot here and run it through for us real quick. So let me add a folder. And I'm going to take this event here. Here we go. And this was my daughter's Eagle Scout ceremony. And these have already been analyzed once, but I'll just redo it for you here. And so what we're going to look for is putting the duplicates together. Go ahead and get those together. Pick less pictures per set, but go ahead and be a little bit more open to different options. Great, start cull. So now it's going to go through, identify the best pictures within these groups, and find the different ones we need to get rid of. So as you can see here, it previously found some closed-eyed and some blurs. It'll be pretty easy for us to weed those out so we don't have to do as much work. There we go. And boom. So what I want to do is narrow that down a little bit, and we'll be able to sort it. Okay. And by the way, if anybody has questions, please use the Q&A or the chat while we watch this bar grow here really quick. There we go. Just about done. Perfect. So I was open to more areas, not being as aggressive on the blur. So these were clearly soft, but it found the best 54 out of the 150. If I want to be more strict about blurring, I could say, go ahead here and look for different depths of field. So it really works quite nicely. Let me do that job actually from scratch so you can see it run from the very beginning. So I'm going to add a new album, and let's add a folder. And let me just grab that in an unchecked state here. There we go. And I'll call these. One sec. There we go. Import. They load in. There's all the photos. And I'm going to start the call. I'm going to say, be pretty strict about blurring. Let's see here. Include photos with a shallow depth of field or a blurred background. Exclude photos that are out of focus. We'll go with moderate here because it was an event. Go ahead and group these together pretty tightly. Only pick the best 20% and recommend a smaller subset. Cool. Let's check for closed eyes and blur. Go. Now it's going to do that analysis and do the full color. Now, what you're going to see is that processing this event is going to take about a minute, which is pretty great for the level of event. I've got a mixture of JPEGs and RAWs in here. So those pictures loaded really quick. And we have both some event photos and we have some photos that were taken afterwards that were posed shots. So it's going to find the best of each setup and flag those. So there we go. Let's see what it finds. And while it's even going, I could just turn a category. So all of these were flagged as blurred. I think we agree that these have some issues with focus and these don't meet the criteria that I wanted. So we were able to filter those out. I could take a look here at the selects and see, especially as we get into the event photos, that's pretty useful. So here we go. Let's take a look at the posed shots at the end. And I can see that it grouped the family shots together. So here, mom, dad, and daughter. And I agree. I think this is the best smile for the three of them. Go to the next one. That one's good. I can quickly look over and scan here if needed. Good, good. So this works quite nicely. So you can find the content that you want. And again, just jump right into the photo to be able to see that and then pull back out and quickly work your way through. So as we are trying to filter our results down, it really gets great. And these are the pictures that it felt best summarize the event. Now this one, I don't agree with. So I'm just going to remove that. Although my son is frequently wiping his mouth. But you can see there how it found the best summary of pictures that it felt would do well on social media. And the reality is that picture would probably do fine. It certainly would have gotten some reactions from folks, but we've been able to narrow that down and find the best pictures amongst the group. And again, you still have full control. So if you want to review what's within a set, just double click and you could step on through. And if you find one you like I think this other one here, I like this one too. Right here, I'll press A and it adds it to the selection. Now, once you're all done with the job and you want to hand it off, it's super simple. You got a couple things you could do. One, you could choose to save all the changes for the project, and it's going to write those. Then you can actually update your XMP data files. So if you already have XMPs, it's going to just rewrite those and store them. And when you're all done, click the export button and you could one-click handoff to Lightroom, Lightroom Classic or Capture One, as well as just export it to a folder. So if you want to take the selected photos and you decide, hey, I want just the selected and the sneak peeks, or I want the selected, the sneak peeks, and the duplicates in case the client has some other choices. You could then do it and tell it what to do. Should the photos be moved or should they be copied? Plus, you could do a batch rename and get them ready for handoff. So it just makes it super simple to take your large job and get it narrowed down to a much smaller job. Okay. So I hope that that made a lot of sense. And again, if you guys have any questions, we'll gladly take them and try to answer. And I'd just like to get your feedback on one more thing about what you saw here tonight. So let us know if this made sense. And again, feel free. I see one message in the chat, so let me see if I can answer that. Sneak peeks, are they a subset or additional images? So sneak peeks are, while they're labeled 4-star, they're really 5-star photos as well. But they are specifically images that are expected to do well on social media. So the goal there is that the tool thinks that these are going to do best on social media. So it's able to identify those and flag them as a subset of your best pictures. And the reason why they're called sneak peeks is these are the ones that you would post to social media after the event on behalf of the client or for yourself to let people know what you thought was good about the event or what was cool that happened at the event. So it will allow you to pull out some of the best pictures. And not only are they analyzed for composition, facial expression, exposure, sharpness, open or closed eyes, but they are also analyzed for things that tend to do well on Instagram and Facebook. So you could pull those out and be able to get people's votes on what they're going to do. Okay. All right, Hillary, if you get a chance, go ahead and share that link in the chat pod so people can definitely take a look at and try out the product for sure. And how fast does AfterShoot share images with Capture One or Lightroom? Very fast. So it's just going to trigger the import. So let me go ahead and I'll show you that. I'll just go back here to one of the albums we already have done. And so if I wanted to hand these off, let's say to Lightroom, there it is, it's open. I'll export and I'm going to go right to Lightroom. And I'll say, go ahead and just take my best pictures. So there we go. And when I'm ready, those will hand off. Or we did the export to folder option before, any of those. So pretty straightforward. I'm going to just reshare my screen here. 1 second. I've got Zoom being a little bit finicky. Let me just get that rerunning. Hold on. And I'm going to launch Lightroom as well. So it's ready to receive the software. That'll be what the issue is. It wants to have Lightroom running. So 1 second. There we go. Launch Lightroom. Perfect. And now I'll just bounce this back into AfterShoot. There we go. And I'll reshare my screen. Perfect. And there we go. Share screen. Okay. So that was the handoff to Lightroom. And it says, are you ready to add the photos? Yes. Let me hit cancel. I'll do that again. So I'm in AfterShoot. I say, hey, hand it off to Lightroom. Great. Lightroom triggers. And those photos are selected. So there's the ones I told it to hand off. And in this case, all the metadata is going to be there. So once I add those over to Lightroom and they're in there, you're going to see that the star ratings are applied. The color labels are applied, and even the keywords are applied. So if I wanted to sort for things like blurry or selects or sneak peeks, I can actually sort for those using my keyword selection. So let's go ahead and do a handoff to traditional Lightroom. And again, with one click, it's going to launch the application and hand it off. All right, I see a question. Let me tackle it. So let's talk about the difference between the two. Sure, great question, Jennifer. So let me bring back up my slide here. So Jennifer was asking, what's the difference between the two programs? So free AfterShoot is going to give you the ability to detect the closed-eyed and the blurred photos. So without paying AfterShoot anything, you could still use it to automatically filter out closed eyes and blurry pictures. And it will let you do the handoff into Lightroom Classic Capture One. The professional version is where it's going to go through and do the star ratings, as well as allow you to pick out the sneak previews and let you look for duplicate files. So the free version is absolutely free, and it will give you the ability to take advantage of the closed eyes and the blurred photo detection. So that's very useful just to remove the blurry photos or the bad portraits. And then the professional version will give you the rest of those features. So I hope that that answers your question. And thank you, Jennifer, for asking that. Great question. And so we'd encourage you to check that out. And again, you can actually use it with the free version to see if you like it. And they also run with a free trial. So you can try for 2 weeks the AI culling to see if it works for you. But at $100, at $9 a month, $119 a year, it's just such a huge time saver for me because every job I run is saving me time. So that ability to just go in and filter out the bad pictures is just such a huge time saver because you want that ability to just scan those things. So to know that I can go from 400 to 50 by eliminating blurry photos, or from 1,000 to 300 while still being pretty open to options, it's just super useful to narrow that down. So I've been using this product now for about 3 months. And by its estimates, I've been able to get back about 4 days worth of time saved. Well, those are 4 days that I can use for vacation because I'm able to actually get that time fully back instead of sitting in front of the computer trying to find the blurry photos and get them away from the good photos. So I hope that makes sense. I see a couple more messages in chat. So thank you, Laura, for coming. That's great. And we did share a code with you. So if you use the photo focus code, you'll actually save 10%. So that'll knock $1 off of the monthly membership. So we'd encourage you to use that. And that'll get that down to $8 a month or just under $100 a year. So we think that that's a great deal. So thank you guys for coming out tonight. And if you have any further questions, we'll stay around. But you can see exactly how that works. You just add your pictures and let it do its thing. So here we're scanning 4,000 pictures, and there's a ton of formats in here and a bunch of other things. So it's going to take about 30 minutes for that job to analyze. But again, all you do is queue up a bunch of jobs and walk away. And then when you're ready, you sit down and you edit. And one of the things I love is the program will actually email you when the culling is done. So you could actually queue up a bunch of jobs and walk away, go to the gym, go take the dog for a walk, make a cup of coffee, or go take your mom out for lunch while the computer sits there. And in 2 hours, it can cull through about 10,000 photos. You cannot cull through 10,000 photos in 2 hours. And then you come back and all the blurry ones and the out of focus ones and the ones with bad facial expressions are automatically filtered out. And you could just review what's left to pick the winners. So again, AI culling is about removing the bad pictures so you have less good pictures to look at, and you can quickly then find your best shots without as much work. Go ahead, Julie. Did you have something you wanted to show? You can turn your mic on as well.
Sorry, hitting the wrong button.
Oh, no problem. So thank you guys for coming out tonight. We appreciate you checking us out. We hope you have fun with it. And for those of you watching the replay, be sure to use that code. That code for those of you who are watching the replay is photo focus. We've got a special link as well. So if you just go to the photo focus website, you'll be able to use it. But again, take advantage of that. And that will take 10% off when you check out. And we think that that's a good deal. We hope you find it useful. Great. Well, thank you guys for coming. And if you got any other questions, we'll stay around for them. Otherwise, have a great night and be sure to give this a try.